Alright guys, Dominic here for Kit Guru, and it's been no secret that white PC components has been one of the industry's hottest trends over the last few years. From graphics cards to peripherals to cases and coolers, white PC parts are everywhere. That includes monitors too, and in today's sponsored video we are going to be taking a look at 3 different white monitors from MSI. So if you're in the market for a new screen like these, here's everything you need to know. First things first then, we are checking out 3 white monitors from MSI's MAG series, all 27-inch in size and all using rapid IPS panels. Now there are some design differences that we'll get to, but the key differentiating factor here is going to be resolution. The 274 URFW, for instance, is a 3480 by 2160 display with a 160Hz refresh rate, whereas the 274 QRFW is a 2560 by 1440 180Hz display, and the 274 PFW is a 1920 by 1080 and 180Hz display. Today then, I'm going to take each of these 3 screens in turn, go over things like the appearance, some panel performance, gaming features and more, so you know everything there is to know about these 3 screens. Starting off then with the 274 URFW. As mentioned, this is the 4K 160Hz option and it's currently retailing for £379 here in the UK. It's using a rapid IPS panel with a claimed 0.5 millisecond response time, 1000:1 contrast ratio, 400 nits of peak brightness and adaptive sync support. In terms of its design then, it is a very clean looking monitor with the white chassis, stand and base all contributing to that look. It also sports a 3-sided frameless design around the front with the MSI logo printed in silver on the bottom chin. RGB lighting is also featured on the back too via this LED strip, and this can be controlled via the OSD depending on your preferences. The included stand also offers a full array of ergonomic adjustments, and that includes up to 130mm of height adjust, there's 30 degrees of swivel both left and right, you get tilt from 5 degrees downwards to 20 degrees upwards, and there's even full 90-degree pivot functionality if you want to use it vertically. You can also use a third-party desk mount or stand too via the Vasis 75x75 mounting bracket. While that is a good option to have, I do personally like the fact that MSI has opted for a square foot. It's nice and compact and really doesn't take up that much room on your desk. In terms of the I/O then, we find power and a headset jack alongside one DisplayPort 1.4 and a USB Type-C that supports DP alt mode and 15 watts of power delivery. The stars of the show, however, are of course those 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, which not only unlock the full 4K 160Hz experience on PC, but they're also great if you have a current generation console, as you will be able to use 4K 120 mode via these HDMI ports. I also love the fact that MSI includes a white cable, so everything ties neatly in with the white theme. Controlling the OSD is dead easy thanks to the use of a small joystick, and the OSD itself is as fully featured as we have come to expect from MSI, with everything laid out sensibly and presented in a clean manner. In terms of our testing then, I found that brightness actually exceeded MSI's claims of 400 nits, ranging from 32 nits minimum up to 474 nits maximum. Contrast was also bang on the claimed 1000:1 ratio, as we hit around 1030:1 across the brightness range. As for gamut, we see significant coverage beyond the sRGB space, particularly when it comes to the red and magenta channels. That means we have wide gamut support with 96.9% reporting of the DCI P3 space, which could be great for any professional use. On top of that, the 274 URFW does offer an sRGB mode within the OSD, and colour accuracy comes in with an average delta E of just 1.78 when using that mode, and generally we say anything under 2 is a good result. Of course though, this is a gaming monitor and MSI has us covered with 3 different overdrive modes. There's normal, fast or fastest. I pick fast every time based on these pursuit camera images, and that is actually the default option. In our test, it delivered an average response time of just over 5 milliseconds with next to no overshoot. That means the 274 URFW delivers a fast and fluid gaming experience at 4K 160Hz. I tried it out in Call of Duty and things felt snappy and responsive, but I was just as happy when racing around in Forza Horizon 5. The 4K resolution and 27-inch screen size also makes for a pin-sharp viewing experience, and adaptive sync works on both AMD and Nvidia GPUs. MSI also offers some gaming intelligence features with this screen, including Smart Scope, which zooms in on the central portion of the monitor when you need to hit some dirty headies. Plus there's AI Vision, which aims to enhance the picture quality and create a more vibrant image. Next then we come to the 274QRFW, and this offers a 1440p resolution with a 180Hz refresh rate, and it's currently retailing for £189 here in the UK. Again, using a rapid IPS panel, MSI claims a 1 millisecond response time, 1000:1 contrast ratio, 400 nits peak brightness, and adaptive sync support. In terms of its design then, it is very similar to the 274URFW, but it isn't quite identical. It is still a very clean looking monitor, however, with a white chassis, stand and base. It also sports a three-sided frameless design around the front, with the MSI logo printed in silver on the bottom chin. The primary difference here between the two screens that we've looked at so far is that the stand has been slightly tweaked and the base is actually even more compact, which is absolutely fantastic as it means there'll be even more space on your desk. RGB lighting is again featured round the back via this LED strip, and once again you can control this via the OSD depending on your preferences. Once more, it's great to see that the included stand does offer a full array of ergonomic adjustments, so that includes up to 130mm of height adjust, there's 45 degrees of swivel both left and right, you get tilt from 5 degrees downwards to 20 degrees upwards, and even 90-degree pivot functionality if you want to use this screen vertically. It again also supports third-party mounting arms or stands via the VESA 75x75 mount. As for the I/O, we find a power and headset jack alongside one DisplayPort 1.4 and two HDMI 2.0 ports, and MSI also includes a white DisplayPort in the box, which I love to see. We also find the same joystick used for controlling the OSD, which is another great inclusion. The OSD itself though does feature a slightly different UI to the 274URFW, but it houses basically the same feature set, so it's an aesthetic change more than anything, and the settings are still sensibly laid out and easy to adjust. Our brightness testing also reveals a very solid range on offer, from 39 nits minimum up to 406 nits maximum, so that's right in line with MSI's claims. Contrast, however, is actually better than expected, delivering 1170:1 when MSI only claims 1000:1, so that is great to see. As for gamut, we still see significant overcoverage of the sRGB space, this time reporting 120.4% coverage. That leaves us in wide gamut territory, and we find 94.3% reporting of the DCI P3 space, also making the 274QRFW a candidate for professional use. It's also great to see that MSI does include an sRGB mode on this monitor, and with that enabled, the colour accuracy results are even better than what we saw from the 274URFW. This time around there's an average delta E of just 1.3, so that is a very impressive result, especially considering the price of this screen. As for gaming and response time performance, MSI again has us covered with 3 overdrive modes: normal, fast or fastest. Fast is still the default, and I really do think it's the best option here, and in our test it delivered an average response time of just under 5.5 milliseconds, with only one transition showing a small amount of overshoot. I had another great time gaming on the 274QRFW as well. The 1440p resolution is a lot easier to drive at the 180Hz refresh rate compared to 4K, so that could definitely be something worth considering, while it is still a good chunk sharper than a 1080p screen. On top of that, you get a responsive experience at 180Hz with those solid response times, and adaptive sync works with both AMD and Nvidia GPUs. MSI also includes AI vision with this monitor, which you can turn on or off depending on your preferences, but there is also a night vision feature which aims to boost shadow detail, so that could give you the edge in certain games if enemies are hiding in corners. The final screen we're looking at today then is the 274PFW, and this is a 1080p 180Hz display that's currently retailing for just under £160 here in the UK. It also uses a rapid IPS panel. MSI claims a 1 millisecond response time, 1000:1 contrast ratio, 300 nits of brightness, and adaptive sync support. The design then is, as far as I can tell, identical to the 274QRFW with one exception, that being it doesn't support RGB lighting. However, it still sports the clean white design stretching from the back to the stand and the compact base, which is still the same as per the 274QRFW, so it barely takes up any space. The included stand still offers the full array of ergonomic adjustments too, so that includes up to 130mm of height adjust, there's 45 degrees of swivel both left and right, tilt from 5 degrees downwards to 20 degrees upwards, and again we get the full 90-degree pivot functionality if you want to use this monitor vertically. Again, VESA 75x75 mounts are supported if you already have a third-party mounting arm or stand. In terms of I/O then, we find a power and headset jack alongside one DisplayPort 1.4 and two HDMI 2.0 ports. MSI also includes a white HDMI cable in the box, which again is great for keeping things on theme. I also love to see that even on this cheaper 1080p model, we still have a joystick used for controlling the OSD. Again, the OSD system is the same as with the 274Q RFW, so it is visually slightly different to the 274U RFW, but it houses all the same controls as we saw before, and it's easy to navigate and adjust settings on the fly. As for our testing, brightness actually shows better than expected results, given MSI claims 300 nits peak. We actually saw a maximum of 363 nits and a minimum of 33. Contrast though is even better, exceeding MSI's claim of 1000 to 1, given we saw around 1250 to 1 across the brightness range. As for gamut, we can clearly see that MSI is using wide gamut displays, as we see significant overcoverage of the sRGB space, particularly in the red channel, and that gives us another impressive reading for DCI-P3 coverage as we hit 93% reporting. Once more, MSI does include an sRGB mode in the OSD, which is a great inclusion at this price point, and with that enabled, we get very solid color accuracy with an average delta E of 1.47, which is really good considering that's with no manual tweaking. Moving on to gaming and response time performance then, we get the same choices when it comes to the different overdrive modes. There's normal, fast, or fastest. Fast is the default, and I'd still make that my recommendation for most people. We can see in our test that it delivered an average response time of 5.35 milliseconds, with only very minor overshoot overall. That of course means gaming is very capable with the 274 PFW. Motion clarity at 180Hz is very solid as we've seen, and if you play esports or other competitive focused titles, you really don't need much GPU horsepower at all to be able to hit that refresh rate at 1080p. We also get adaptive sync, which works well on both AMD and Nvidia GPUs to keep everything nice and tear-free. On top of that, MSI also offers AI Vision, a feature which again you can turn on or off depending on your preferences. Night Vision also makes a return, which could be particularly useful when you're playing Call of Duty or another FPS title and need to boost shadow detail. That brings us to the end of this video showcase then, where we have looked at 3 different white monitors that form part of MSI's MAG series. As a reminder, the 274U RFW is the highest end of the 3, being a 4K 160Hz option, and that currently retails for £379 here in the UK. I'd say this is aimed at the kind of person who has a reasonably high-end GPU and is able to drive high frame rates at 4K, but it is also very well positioned for anyone with a current gen console, given the HDMI 2.1 ports, which offer 4K 120Hz support. Then we have the 274Q RFW, which is the 1440p 180Hz display, currently retailing for just £189. For someone looking to step up from a 1080p screen, this looks like an absolute bargain with solid response times, a clean design, and it's really not that hard to drive 1440p at 180Hz, which could make it a contender with wide appeal. Lastly, we also checked out the 274PFW, which is the 1080p 180Hz display, which I found for just under £160. If you know you want to stick with 1080p, maybe you have an older GPU or you just want a more affordable screen, perhaps it's for a kid's first ever gaming PC, then this could be the pick for you. Of those 3 screens then, do let me know which one appeals to you most of all down in the comments below. For me personally, I find it really hard to look past the 274Q RFW, as at £189 that really does look like a bargain. If you are interested in checking out any of these 3 screens though, I will also leave links down in the description. That is the end of this video though guys, so if you liked it, please do toss me a thumbs up, and as always, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to ding that notification bell so you don't miss out when we upload a new video. If you want to carry on the conversation as well, you'll find a link to our Discord server in the description, and while there you can consider helping us out by picking up a cool t-shirt, or if you're feeling particularly generous, you could even consider backing us on Patreon. That's it for this one though guys, I'm Dominic for Kit Guru, and I'll see you in the next video.